Vítejte u podcastu První kolej. Jen málo která značka proslavila Českou republiku ve světě tak jako plzeňská Škoda. S jejími výrobky se lidé setkávají již více než 160 let. V tomto podcastu se podíváme do zákulisí a ukážeme vám, jak tento přední evropský výrobce vozidel pro městskou a železniční dopravu funguje. Hostem tohoto dílu podcastu je Ollipekka Heikkilä, který je Head of Sales z finské pobočky, jak už jste možná podle jména poznali. Proto tento rozhovor bude výjimečně v angličtině. You know, welcome to our podcast. I will maybe try to introduce you and face the first awkward moment of me trying to pronounce correctly your Finnish name. Is it Ollipekku Heikkilä?
No.
Try it yourself.
I can do it, yes. It's Ollipekka. So it's two L's. You have to say Olli, not Oli.
Okay.
Olli. So you can think as it two Olli. And then you connect them. Olli. And then it's like Pekka. So it's Pekka. Ollipekka.
Okay. I mean, yeah, Ollipekka. Okay.
Very well, yes. Because people have problems to have these double consonants.
Nice. So we have this out of the way. Can you maybe a little bit introduce your position, because you work in Finland and kind of a Finnish branch of Škoda. You do something similar, you do some things different. What is it you actually do or produce out there in Finland?
You mean as a company?
Yeah, as a company.
No, in Finland we produce trams which are originally based on customer demands. Actually, I was earlier working for Helsinki City Transport for a long time. I was working there for 18 years. And in Helsinki, there was there was a hard times with the earlier trams, which were not Škoda trams, but there were really, really many problems with the first generation of low-flow trams. And then HKL, or me in HKL, I was looking around the Europe, what could be the possibilities for the next generation for Helsinki, because Helsinki is a very special city. The winter conditions are rather heavy. The sea is nearby, so there's a humidity, there are winds, there are very low temperatures, very high temperatures. There is sort of salt in the air, and salt is used for the winter time for the higher friction for the cars, and sand is used. And then the city, the track itself, it's an old city with small streets and narrow streets and sharp curves of tram networks, and the network is really like a spider's web. There are a lot of connections and crossings. So it's and the track is not constructed according to the norms, because it's impossible because of the limited space, and the operation style is a little bit racy. So they are really driving fast and active, and it's very demanding conditions for the tram. And the first generation low-flow trams from another supplier, they really collapsed in short time, and they were finally returned to the supplier because of the issues. But that's another case. And the supplier, of course, took good care. They act according to the contract. But this was a disaster, and let's say a failure. And then there has to be found a solution that which kind of trams could function in Helsinki, because the same trams which were not functioning very well in Helsinki were functioning rather well in Central Europe. Mm-hmm. So we understood that we are really in trouble, and we have to find a very special tram for Helsinki. And actually then we made a project that we really designed the spec. Actually we designed a tram, and out of the tram we made a spec. What would be the right tram for Helsinki? And we made a very good tram for Helsinki. It can manage that all. The winter conditions, the salty water, the friction, missing friction, and all the chemicals used for that, all the crossings and all the driving style, and it was also easy to maintain and has low LCC cost, and is extremely comfort for all the passengers in summertime or wintertime or whatever. So and there was a tender who would like to produce these trams, and actually that time Transtech won the tender, and later Transtech joined to Škoda. So that is actually for trams what we do in Finland. Everything is based on this Helsinki basic tram, which was introduced 2013. So the idea is that we produce in Finland with the trams which are robust and comfortable, easy to maintain, and have low LCC cost, and reliable. But to be said that maybe these are not the cheapest trams in the world, but they are the more or less best trams in the world. And this is not only our opinion, because you know that we have been able to sell trams also to Germany. And there are some difficult things to do in the world. It's hard to sell ice cream for penguins, and it's hard to sell red wine to French, and it's hard to sell trams to Germans.
So how did you succeed in selling trams to German?
No, it was not. The selling was not the problem.
Okay.
We have a product they loved. The German authority in Rhine-Neckar area, they saw the tram. They had earlier have also low floor trams with lot of issues. The first generation, they saw our version of low floor tram here in Finland, and they are professionals in Rhine-Neckar. They are really good engineers, and they understood the beauty of Helsinki car, and they really wanted to have that car. Okay, it needed also, of course, a reasonable priced offer from Škoda, because that time already a Transtech was part of the Škoda, and finally it's done together with the mother company Pilsen, so it's a split. There's a big fleet we produce together, partly in Finland, partly in Pilsen, and it's done together. But it's 80 trams, lengths are between 30 to 60 meters. Mm-hmm. So they are really a lot of trams and big volume. And yes, you know, it's heart of the Germany. It's surrounded by all the German producers. And we are delivering as a Škoda. Together with Pilsen from Finland, we deliver trams into the heart of Germany. And this is a proof that it is a remarkable tram. And we have done also versions of the basic Arctic tram to city of Tampere. And we have done it now for new lines in Helsinki. We have made a light rail vehicle version for the orbital lines in Helsinki, which is a faster bidirectional, etc. So and a very special tram with new things that have never been ever introduced, and yes, that's what we do. From tram, for light rail, then we have, of course, the mainline products, but this is the light rail which I'm presenting, because I'm at the moment sales for light rail vehicles, head of sales for light rail vehicles.
Okay, so is the tram that you are selling to Germany basically the same as Helsinki?
It is based on the basic to Helsinki tram. They have, of course, their own requirements. They have different lengths. They have different norms. They have different requirements. But the base is really to Helsinki. It is just transferred to what they want. Mannheim area is rather interesting. They are actually operating on the railway tracks. Even it's a meter coach. So it's a very, very special thing. But yes, first tram I saw in Pilsen in final assembly a few weeks ago, and it's going to be a very remarkable vehicle.
Okay. And can you maybe take me, maybe not to details, but you said the first generation in Helsinki didn't work at all, and then you created a new one. Like, what were some of the big changes, or some of the modifications you had to make?
No, the biggest thing was, of course, that the first earlier generations by another supplier were multi-articulated trams. So it means that the bogies are not turning or pivoting.
Okay.
And we went from multi-articulated trams with non-pivoting bogies to more classical layout with pivoting bogies. But the thing what we introduced was a meter coach tram with pivoting bogies with full low floor through the tram. That was first in the world. That there's really through the tram from the first door to the last door, low floor with pivoting bogies. So that was the thing.
Okay, so that was like the main innovation.
No, let's say it was a combination of known solutions. There was no bigger innovations, but it's a good combo of existing technologies and existing suppliers to be able to have modern tram with good ride comfort and a robust construction.
Okay.
For Helsinki. So that was and the list is endless. The Helsinki tram is full of good ideas. I wouldn't call them innovations. I would say that it's a collection of existing solutions combined to new formula, and from that is the excellent tram. Of course, there are some small innovations like water-cooled brake resistors to be able to collect the brake heat energy if you cannot supply it back to the network, so you can use it for heating So there are small innovations, but there is no major. Our more innovative tram is the next generation for Helsinki, the Arctic X54 Joker. We call it Joker type because it's a Joker line where it's going, and that is full of innovations. But the basic tram was still, let's say, a careful approach to the low floor era.
So the current projects you are working on, is it this new generation or is it this big project with Germany, or what are kind of your priorities at this point?
No, now when I joined the company, I was the head of the platform. So the idea was that I make new versions of Arctic, but I have been now doing mainly sales, and now I'm doing the sales for Finland and for Europe. Some individual project. Helsinki is buying new trams, and they are buying a lot. They are buying again 120 cars. So well, let's say there's a window from 50 to more than 100 window. They are buying more cars, and of course it's our home market. It's extremely important for us. But in Finland, there's nothing like you are a local supplier. It's for sure. It's always a heavy competition. And if you go to Helsinki railway station, you can see that there are trains from Stadler, from Siemens, from Bombardier, of course also from us. But it's not anything guaranteed in Finland that you are local. You get some. Let's say that some people say that in Finland you are not so much in worse position than foreigners, but it's a little bit negative that you are local. You have to be a little bit better than the foreigners to be able to get the contract. So that's a hard competition here always.
Or do you think it's because of the perception of a local, I don't know, industry, or is it just the mentality of the people?
Finnish mentality. We are, in European Union, the Finns are really the ones who are following every single rule, and if you find another rule, you are going to follow that. And the purchasement rules in the European Union are very strict. So also, if you have two products, one is foreign and one is Finnish, and they have the same price and same points, you have to buy the one from to be imported to not to make the mistake to give any advantage for the local one. So that's how it is here. And this you have maybe heard that Finns are crazy with this to follow all the rules in the world, but maybe it pays back someday.
Okay, it's interesting. So. But still, I mean, it must be like you started with the cars or trams in Finland because obviously you are local, you know the problems, you know the environment, you can do all the testing.
But it was the case was so that I changed. I was then in Helsinki City. Mm-hmm. I changed 4 years ago to Škoda.
Okay,
and I was doing the spec in Helsinki City. Mm-hmm. At the trams were then it was a competition, and actually Transtech won the competition by following the spec from Helsinki City and giving the low price, not because the Transtech is local. Mm-hmm. That was not the case. So the case was really that good price and good technological solutions according to the specification. And that was why the contract was nominated for Transtech, not because of doing something together with the customer. So it was just following the invitation to tender and try to give the best result from that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What are maybe some of the main, obstacles you are facing at this point? Maybe your economic environment or, the mood in society or something can be a little bit different than here in Central Europe. So I'm just curious how you think about the threats or obstacles you are facing.
No, of course, Finland is not the cheapest place. We have... it's a big country.
You mean the cost of labor?
No, it comes to the cost of labor because it's a long country with big distances, a lot of roads and rather good social care. So it means taxes and of course it means that prices are higher and this comes to the salaries. But the difference is closing. I remember 4 years ago when there was when I joined the company and there was a lot of discussions about the price differences of Czech and Finland, and then it was really remarkable. But very well that you have had a lot of inflation in Czech, so the salaries are rising every year. So the gap is really closing. It's rapidly closing. So because I know that in Czech there are big car manufacturers and there's a big competition of workers, and so it means that this is little bit changing. We have a big, good, nice factory in Finland, and we are able to do many things. We are rather productive, and that's good. And we may have, but maybe our problem is that we have a high quality products, and the customer. There are not all the customers some customers are really looking for the price. Mm-hmm. Some customers are looking for technological solutions, and we always have to find the customers who are ready to pay about this top quality car bodies and high-end solutions. So it limits our customer base a little bit. If you go really into the competition with the price, we know that there are other suppliers who are just looking for the price.
Yeah, I mean, it's always right, like the decision in business, like, do we make the highest quality and accept that price will be higher, and some customers will just look for price, or do we go with the approach of like being more affordable and maybe, just not do that quality much?
Yeah, and yes, and the point is that if you want to have a cheap and good tram car, you have to buy 2 tram cars, cheap and good. That's the point. So there is no tricks in the world. If you are using the best components and you are doing the best car bodies and you are doing the good assembly and you are making good testing and all this, then you end up with a higher price tag than if you do everything just that you just go over the limit of the specification. So that is not our business. Our business is to really supply the quality high-end trams for the customers, and this is of course a little bit challenging because it's always a public competition, and normally the price is evaluated on the high, but this is all depending on the customer.
How big is actually your production, or like how many people are working on the projects?
We have 5 in the production hall. We have, I don't know the engineering at the moment because now the engineering is combined together with the there's a pool of engineers now within Škoda Group. But our factory in Otamäki is 54 hectares and has 650 employees. And the factory is built 85, and it is the largest rolling stock supplier or manufacturing site in Nordic countries. And it has supplied from 85 about 12,000 railway and tram vehicles. So it is rather remarkable.
So how because you said some of the projects are like 50 to 100 trams,
yes.
How long does it take to make one?
We can produce in factory depending of the needs, but we can produce. We could produce. We are doing also the main line. So of course but we could do. We could do with together with mainline products. We could do some 20-30 trams per year.
30
up to 30, I would say, with some. Yeah. If we'd do everything in three shifts, and then if there wouldn't be any mainline, it would be more, of course. So this is about what we can do. So of course, or if you supply complete trams and it's 120, it's 4 years. So it's and we have several. We have at the moment 2 different tram projects running, and we are starting now the 3rd, and then 4th, 5th. So we have a lot of different types simultaneously running at the factories. And we have a big factory, so we are able to do all the different phases in-house. So we don't have to put the rough car body out to the rain with the high humidity. We can go directly from welding to sandblasting, and directly from sandblasting to primering. And there's no risk of micro corrosion, for example, in the production, because we have a big hall where we do everything. So yes.
That's maybe a little bit different from like Škoda, right? Like here you can kind of move from hall to hall.
It's a different way it's done, but you have this quick moving with this sidewards moving tracks, so of course it's different. But we are using the cranes moving the car bodies around and bodies around the depot or the factory. So yes, but it's a good factory for we are doing good quality. So our car bodies are really, the Germans are auditing them all the time. They are actually living near the factory, the house, and they are auditing all the time, every welding seam, and they are very happy of the quality what we are doing. So that's a really
it's a good recommendations from German engineers.
And Germans, so they are really accurate people, and they are taking trams they are going to use next 40-50 years. So they are really looking everything, and they are happy. But they are good. They also they don't make any comments if there is no reason. They are really, really professional. So highly appreciated customers. They are checking. They are supporting us to find the quality level they want, but they are not going crazy. They are just doing their work. It's really nice to cooperate with such people.
Okay. Is it hard for you to deal, like all the kind of manufacturing and producing is dealing with the supply chain at this point and all that stuff?
Of course, it's always challenging. And our sub-suppliers are mainly in Central Europe. So, of course, we have little distance to travel for if we want to do audits. And of course, we have the transportation here. And all this, of course, is a little bit more challenging. But to say also, we have a little bit similar culture with the Central Europeans, so it is not so hard to work with Germans, for example. We think a little bit the same direction, so we have found good cooperation. We have really long, and even I have long personal relations with the most important sub-suppliers. 10 plus 15 years, so finally it comes to persons. Finally, humans are doing the contracts. It's not papers or computers or robots. Finally, it's an agreement that right people, and you have a good connection. You are able to do good things together, and you want to achieve something. So, yes, it is always challenging, especially now when we know what is happening with the costs in Europe and in the world. So customers are still sticking with the prices they have set out a long time ago. The limitations and the budgets, it's a long process when you are buying at least trams. You estimate the project costs, and you go through the political process to get the acceptance to get this money, and then you put out the invitation to tender, and then it takes many phases. Finally, several years have gone. And now when inflation is really high, what you originally asked for the politicians is too low, and it's a big pressure to go back and ask more. And this is really challenging for our customers, and I regret for them to be in this position to see that the budget they did 2 years ago, they have challenges to get anything from the market, and then it's easy. There's a big risk that they go for the low-cost suppliers, and if a customer has to go for the low-cost supplier, it means then a hard life for next 40 plus years, which is the biggest mistake you can do. You buy too cheap, then you have to compensate it by repairs and modifications.
And in the end, it will get even more expensive than buying.
Yes. When you buy a tram, the life cycle cost includes, of course, the purchasement price of the tram. Mm-hmm. And it's only 25% of the life cycle cost. And if you pay a little bit more, you pay 35%, you are able to cut a lot from the life cycle cost, which is the repairs and maintenance and spares, etc. So this is something which is very hard for operators to show the politicians that you have to give a little bit more, so we save it back with the future. And it's not very sexy to go with the high-price vehicle. Yeah, we bought the most expensive vehicles in Europe. But maybe finally you get the best deal for 40 years. This needs a lot of pushing.
Well, maybe some of the issues is that the politicians are not there for 40 years, right? So
they are normally maximum few years, and on that time they have. But depends. It's possible. It's possible. We have seen it in some cities where it's really committed operators who understand what they are doing. So they are really doing good work by explaining politicians why we have to buy this, and they specify it. Yes, there are. Mm-hmm.
I'm just maybe curious as the last question, like what is the reputation of kind of trams or image of trams in general in Finland? Because, you know, here, like I would say there are a lot of people who are really like lovers or, you know, big admirers of trams and just like watching every tram, and there's like this big subculture around it. Do you think there is something similar in Finland?
No, it's coming back, I think. It was still, when low floor trams were introduced 20 years ago, there was a peak of interest for the trams. And now there is, of course, long time that there has been deliveries of well-functional trams. And then you have something which is fitting well to the city and well-functioning, and you don't get a lot of hassle about it. So now when we have this Jokeri tram, let's say in acceptance runs with the customers in Helsinki city, it's going to go to the light rail line orbital running above Helsinki to Espoo, but now it's in the trial runs with the passengers, the trouble-free running tests in Helsinki, and it has some new functions which are first in the world. It's the first tram in the world with the multi-articulated structure and all bogies piloting. So this is very special tram, and it has also kneeling function. So it automatically adjusts the height of the threshold to the level of the platform. Mm-hmm. So it has these special functions. And there is a certain hassle, but you are right. Maybe in Finland there are not so many enthusiasts about this, but let's say that Germans and Swedes and Austrians and Swiss, they understand that it's really something they have never seen before. And if you really get the people who understand trams, they are totally fire with this product, because it's running well and it's bending nicely with the curves, and bogies are swiveling and pivoting around the city, and carbon is adjusting always to the height with different height of the platform. So and then you can roll in, roll out with wheelchairs or prams, and they really love this product. They are really hot about it, and they just think that how could they fit it into their cities. So that is really something which makes an engineer, even engineers is on sales. It makes me very happy to see these people But yes, in Finland maybe we have so few trams. We have it only two and three cities in the future. So maybe it's coming. I see it slowly rising, and you get more people involved to the business.
Okay, makes sense. Well, yeah. Ollipekka, I'm so afraid to say your name to say it right, but yes, thanks a lot for your time and kind of giving me or us, the listeners, kind of your point of view of these exciting times and what trams are you doing and the projects you are having. So thanks a lot for sharing it.
Moc děkujeme, že jste doposlouchali tuto epizodu podcastu První kolej. Pokud vás to bavilo a nechtěli byste, aby vám unikly i další epizody, tak se určitě přihlašte k odběru tohoto podcastu tam, kde podcasty posloucháte. Je k dispozici na Spotify, Apple podcastech i dalších podcastových platformách. Pro dnešek to je od nás všechno a uslyšíme se zase příště. Naslyšenou.